In this program, you will see the tanks of the future. The most incredible machine can be controlled by the power of thought. Flying taxi, planes that can go into space, and another completely different modern technology. The future of tanks and military equipment is constantly evolving. Tanks are no exception. Just over 100 years ago, during the First World War, the tank looked very strange when it first appeared. Like some oval, bulky car, tracks all over the body. Today's top tanks are not so clumsy, but very elegant. It's very impressive. In the near future, they can also change the appearance. For example, South Korea is developing a concept tank. He will have an enlarged turret. A saw gun will be mounted on it. Maybe it will be a howitzer-like weapon. Not only can it destroy ground equipment, it can also destroy aerial equipment. It also functions as an artillery. You can control the howitzer from the outside. In this case, soldiers will be more vulnerable. But apparently, this tank was not intended to be used as a pit stop vehicle. Apparently, he will fight from a distance. In China, they plan to build a bigger one, more powerful tanks. It will not only become the largest tank in the world, there will also be 2 rounds of popularity. It's like having 2 battle machines in one car. A small cannon can destroy tanks and living forces. Install a saw gun on the second turret. You can even schedule Armageddon, a range of fortifications so far. And these are just concepts. Let's see if they can make it happen. Surprisingly, the technologies that have been developed and actively used are not presented in an unusual conceptual form. For example, the Paramount Predator armored vehicle made in South Africa. The second generation of this armored vehicle was named after. Marpy is usually some kind of crazy behemoth. As for me, if Hammer and Belazar had a son, he will look like this. This giant weighs 10 tons, can carry another 6 tons. Predators are very powerful, can withstand shooting without difficulty, and that's the least he can do. Bullets are like seeds to him. Armored vehicles are lightning and bulletproof, and that's how the double shell helped him. Although the quality and stability of armored vehicles are so high, but his characteristic is good mobility. He's going up to 120 kilometers an hour. That's a staggering metric. Up to 10 people can enter the carriage with the driver. He became a full combat unit. With such a powerful car, don't be afraid to go to the front line to land. Here comes another behemoth in line. But this time he was a fully armored vehicle. Instead of masquerading as a Hammer, Zaha is a powerful car, impressive armored vehicle. But its main feature is not believed. Because it's an amphibious vehicle, this massive 30-ton vehicle can confidently overcome water obstacles, even if it's only 13 kilometers per hour. But still, Zaha is the pride of the Turkish armed forces. Except for driving on water, this armored vehicle also performs very well on land. It can reach speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour. Despite its sheer size, Zaha is characterized by good mobility. Spacious, armored vehicle can accommodate 3 members and 200 million skirmishers. Experts say the Zaha is a unique vehicle. This amphibious combat vehicle has only been seen in the United States, but it's aging. And Zaha has reached a new level in military technology. This armored vehicle is more modern. It meets all modern requirements. He can not only transport people, safer battles, same as a South African Jeep. This armored giant is also mine and bulletproof. In addition, the equipment of the armored vehicle also includes protection against biological and biological threats. Overall, this unique Turkish vehicle is well suited for many modern operations. The military equipment is certainly impressive, but the peaceful transport was equally amazing. Let's take a look at them now. The first is another amphibian, able to overcome more difficult obstacles than Turkey's indestructible armored vehicles. This is a Sherpa all-terrain vehicle. His name is there for a reason. The Sherpas are Nepalese who live on the highlands. They are born with stability, renowned for its adaptability to air and its ability to conquer any mountain. Conquering Mount Everest could not be achieved without the help of the Sherpas. Edmund, who conquered Mount Everest for the first time in history, Hillary did it with the help of the Sherpas. In my opinion, if you want, Sherpa ATV can also drive to the top of Mount Everest. It's cool. It's powerful. This all-terrain vehicle has a low center of gravity and an engine, so it goes up 35 degrees, overcoming high obstacles, and can turn 30 degrees in any direction. Of course, when I say the world's highest peak, I'm exaggerating a bit, but on a Sherpa mountain bike, You can really go to places that are rare in the intoxicating world. Four-wheel drive all-terrain vehicles have huge tires, can overcome various off-road road conditions, from the sandy ice sheet, huge snowdrifts to the swamp, leaf forest and forest of Island Lake. It's all thanks to the special wheels that work together. For example, when a wheel hits an obstacle, the system distributes the pressure evenly to the other wheels. Therefore, at any stage, all-wheel drive systems generate the maximum possible power. But we're more used to regular cars, instead of a giant all-wheel drive car. Although if we are talking about new classes and future cars, then the word ordinary obviously has nothing to do with them. Look at this Mercedes. It looks like something from 2050. Isn't it actually? Manufacturers are still envisioning their new electric vehicles as the vehicles of the future. The full name of this car is Mercedes-Benz Visionato. The acronym refers to Jimmy Cameron's film Avatar, and the inspiration for this film came from this concept. This new car doesn't just look like something from the future. It also has the same feeling. For example, cars don't have steering wheels. In addition to driving this electric car, you don't even need your hands. The interface here is not a computer, so you can control it with the power of thought. Literally too. The driver attaches a reading device to his head. A spot of light will appear on the front panel. The driver or passenger looks at these blips. The system will complete the calibration in a few minutes, and that creates a direct connection. The system reads the EEG, determine the activity of certain nerve cells in the brain, calculate where the user's attention is focused. The power of future thinking can switch radio stations, adjust the lighting and climate in the cabin. You can also go to the parking lot with charging points to choose the route. This concept has been proposed several years ago. It's getting better every year, so far. He hasn't been used yet, because he's not perfect yet. First, you need to make sure that all systems are running flawlessly. Otherwise, this might happen what the driver thought, and the car might think that's the wrong instruction, resulting in an accident. But this could be on the road in a few years. We will drive cars with the power of thought, whether you're sitting in the front seat or in the driver's seat, by the way. Such electric cars can even drive people with limited physical strength. This is also a big advantage. Next, we have another level of cars. This is a Rolls-Royce. Generally speaking, all the cars in this company are an independent art form, but the Rolls-Royce 103EX built them all. This is another car that looks like it's from the year 2050. This Rolls-Royce doesn't have a steering wheel. It's like a Mercedes-Benz Avatar. No pedals. The front wheels are separated from the body and hidden from the side. Due to the large number of rectangular shapes, this car looks very unusual, even a little rough. However, this design approach makes the body as aerodynamic as possible. The other interesting thing about this Rolls-Royce is the trunk. He is not behind or in front, but on the side. It's like a tour bus. This car is like a bus, only accessible from the left. In addition, the interior design allows you to actually enter the vehicle. Instead of sitting down, the foot pedal is sticking out. The roof was lifted off. The throne glass can make you stand tall, even tall people. This is the limousine. Bus and convertible in one bottle, like I said. There's no steering wheel, no pedals. There was no driver's seat. In its place was a silk-trimmed sofa. As Rolls-Royce had hoped, that is the most elegant, the most expensive material. Buy a car. You spend more money than buying a luxury sports car of any other brand. Control through a virtual assistant. In this concept car, we have a driver, a co-pilot and an assistant. Communication with the virtual assistant through the microphone. The microphone is built into the front panel below the wide display. The assistant will analyze the situation on the road, calculate route, consider traffic congestion, warning of delays, etc. In general, the future has arrived, but you still need to wait. The car is still in the concept stage. He is shaping. It's not being used on any roads. The word Vahana comes from a sample text. In Indian mythology, Vahana is called an object, a fetish or animal. The gods use it to move, but we don't live in a myth. It's about living in reality. We have Vahana. It's not a bull or a chariot. It's not tied to an elephant. It was a taxi. A taxi that was new in every sense of the word. This is a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle. Developed by Airbus for many years, this is the company most famous for making record-breaking giant airplanes. Vahana looks like a giant drone. Actually, it's a drone and a drone. It's a single seat. People hailed the taxi through an Uber-like app. Drones arrive at their destination. Passengers board the bus. There are no drivers here, so there's no traffic. Politics and I do business. Embarrassing conversations like I hail a taxi for my soul. Although for amateurs, chatting on the road is a tight share and Hana plans to use it as a taxi to shuttle around the city. The robot will fly autonomously along a programmed trajectory, make small deviations to avoid obstacles such as tall buildings. Of course, the price of this kind of trip will be higher than taking a regular taxi, but acceptable. Only 50 or 60. You can reach your destination by plane. Enjoy the most beautiful scenery over the city. So far, well, it's still being refined. You try to make everything as clear as possible, so you have to do another few years of regular 5 books. But successful tests and trials have shown that Airbus could soon revolutionize the world of technology and transportation. If all previous techniques can be learned without difficulty, then many people may be confused at this time. What is this? It looks like a futuristic stroller or giant vacuum cleaner model. But it's another new technology, at least a new level of visual effects. This transportation line is called Scarab or Scarabee. It's a medium between a small car and a motorcycle. Mori. It could even be a motorcycle. But closed and low. Smooth streamlined Scarab can be operated manually, but it can also drive itself. Variability is also reflected in the fuel issue. Garb can use batteries, biofuels and gasoline. It has 4 wheels. But when parking it becomes 2 wheels and folds up. The designers of this concept say, the objective of this project is to develop a comprehensive solution for a new urban transportation system. He noticed that compared to urban transportation, people prefer private cars, so he decided to develop a personality, lightweight and environmentally friendly transportation. Of course, he looked unusual, but I'm not sure if the new motorcycle can withstand the competition with flying taxis and future supercars. And then there's this even cooler motorcycle concept. In addition, this motorcycle has been realized. This is Phaetra Copper, the world's first flying motorcycle. He developed it in Hungary and made its maiden flight 9 years ago. The model is equipped with 3 pairs of screws made of carbon fiber. An electric motor drives the motorcycle and lifts it to a height of 30 meters. At this altitude, motorcycles can reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. And of course, that's nothing compared to a motorcycle. Ordinary motorcycles can easily travel 200-250 kilometers. But I think flying at 100 kilometers an hour at a height of 10 stories, enough to give you an adrenaline rush. A single charge is enough for 40 minutes, so you can fly over the whole city. And there were no traffic jams in the air. This means there will be no forced parking. In fact, the flight was not designed for travel on the Fengchi tram. They're searching for rescue crews, fire suppression and surveillance, as well as police personnel. So if in the future police and firefighters are flying in the air, instead of leaving the flash on the road, please don't be surprised. Now that we're talking about aviation, why not take a look at the plane? This is another dimension. And you know what? In the future, you won't just be able to fly to another city or country. We can even fly into space. That sounds crazy. But it is. The British company has been developing the Skylon aircraft for several years. It's a mixture of everything. It looks like a military fighter jet. 990, 130,000, 14,000. It looks like a military fighter. There is an ordinary track, but essentially it's an airplane. Roughly speaking, a multi-purpose space plane. Skyrun is very fast. It can be used on a planetary scale. 1. According to the manufacturer, the Olympic Games were able to transport passengers from London to Sydney in just 4 hours. In comparison, it takes about a day to fly the same route by regular plane. At the same time, the Dragon can also develop hypersonic speed without any acceleration steps on the rocket. fuel tank and external acceleration. To enter the orbit in space, it can be used as a cargo vehicle for the International Space Station. Its shipping costs will be 50 times cheaper than usual. The cost of sending a kilogram of cargo into space is only $1,000. For such a task, that's a drop in the bucket. After the space mission ended, the Dragon can land safely at a nearby airport like a normal plane. It's an incredible technology that costs a lot of money. The program is expected to cost $12 billion. The price of Skylon in the United States will reach hundreds of millions of dollars. But in my opinion, and it was worth it. And this is now being finalized and tested successfully. In a few years, we can witness a historic event in the airplane's ascent into space, set a crazy record for transporting passengers to Earth. You might think that most of these projects are crazy and impractical, but you're still not familiar with Nikola Tesla's thinking. It is said that the first robot was invented by George DeVille. It happened in the 1950s. I'm talking about robots that can do useful things. It's not just simple actions. It happened much earlier, but many people believe that Tesla invented the first robot. Instead of DeVille, this Serbian genius runs faster than many, but we'll talk about that later. As for robots, no, this is not some kind of human-like creation, although it is possible that Nikolai secretly built several of these robots. As for robots, Nikolai invented it in 1898. He's a killer robot. Keyboard killer. In the sense of unmanned military vehicles, Tesla was ahead of himself. Tesla plans to focus only on destructive power. These machines, in the form of spaceships, will be sensed through groundwater and the atmosphere, the wave force or radiation to move. That is to say, when people first started using radio waves to communicate. In 1890, Tesla had already planned to use radio waves, getting objects to a certain point without human involvement. According to Tesla's idea, the destructive power of this drone will be so great, so much so that humanity had to change its mind and go to war. It is said that this invention guarantees unlimited destructive power. Eternal peace can be established and maintained among peoples. It didn't happen. But who knows? Maybe it will happen in the future. Do you think this is Tesla's greatest ability? According to his standards, it's nothing at all. A lot of people have seen Star Wars, remembering the Death Star vividly, or Starkiller from the Disney trilogy. Do you remember how these bases used to send out radiation that destroyed spacecraft and entire planets? So Tesla wanted to invent something similar. He called it death ray lippers. Now it seems, I guess Lucas was inspired by someone. According to Tesla, in 2